Masters.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to present to you a speech, icebreaker for pathways. And my question mirrors which comes first, behavior or attitude. You've heard about the life through pictures. This is my life through animals. And I don't know, I don't remember which came first, my appreciation of animals or my desire to capture those little critters. Because my earliest memories were looking into aquaria, seeing things like fish and turtles. I think my parents actually bought those for my brother and I as little pets, but of course I wanted to get my hands on it, which was frustrating until we moved to a rural area in Virginia. And I remember going out the back door, and I walked down to the creek, and I saw clouds of butterflies and little frogs jumping into the creek, and crickets, and all manner of wild species. And I knew I was in the right place. So I armed myself with a butterfly net, and I would go out in the morning and catch butterflies, put them in little jars and things. And of course, the adults would let them go so they didn't suffocate, which is a good idea. We'd be on next. And then when we got a little older, we turned towards the aquatic world. And so we got into the creek and we scooped up the frogs and went after the tadpoles and fish. And I think this really set my life's course because I went on to study biology in college and went on to a career in wildlife and natural resource conservation. And I kind of track it back to those days, you know, those bucolic days, endless summer. Summer's always been my favorite season. As the youth spent catching those hapless organisms. Most of them survive, which is a good added benefit. And then, so the next thing was the fish. So I went out to Chicago to visit family, and most of my dad's family actually all lived in the Chicago area. They were big fishermen. Every day in the summer they'd go down to the lake, and they had what they call these power lines, big anchors that they'd throw out with these lines attached, and then they'd run down. The southern line would slip down with all kinds of minnows, crayfish, worms as bait. You'd sit on top of these rocks, fishing in this deep water. It was like 10, 12, down to 20 feet deep, and we'd catch perch. We'd bring them ashore, and you know, I became obsessed with fishing after that summer, just hanging out with them. And that led me to explore many areas and have different adventures. The next chapter is shark. I went to the beach. I was fishing in North Carolina this time. I had a large surf fishing pole, and I learned early on it was the school of hard knocks. The way to catch fish is to go around where people are fishing, find somebody that's catching fish, copy exactly what they're doing, and get as close to them as you possibly can. Now it's easier to do when you're a child, because like if I tried it now, people would be like, buddy, get out of here. Fish, what are you doing? But then, you know, it's like, ooh, sir, how do you do that? And they were like, ooh, I'll show you, you know. And so I got pretty good at it. So there I am in North Carolina. I'd done it already, I knew. So I had all this cut fish, squid. I got my big pole, you know, I'm out. I figured, hey, the thing is to get out to deeper water. And everybody's like, you're crazy. You know, so I'm standing in water this deep. It was pretty warm, you know, it was like June. And I saw this large object in the water. It was moving straight toward me. A hammerhead shark, about 8, 10 feet long. It swam right up to me. It paused in the water. I kid you not, I could have reached down and touched it. The water was crystal clear. It was one of the most fascinating experiences of my life. I felt the thrill of wild nature. And then I dropped my fishing rod and ran out of the water as fast as I could. So and it was a long time before I went in over my toe. And that shark swam down the beach, and it chased about 3 or 4 other people out of the water. As I'd see it go down, we were pretty evenly spaced. They'd come tearing out of the water too. So it was just moving along, checking out objects. So that was shark. Elephant. At a certain point, I joined the Peace Corps. I went to Cameroon in West and Central Africa, and I was assigned to work with the Ministry of Tourism and Environment. And one of the big concerns there, we were trying to establish a national park in the rainforest.
there was an elephant population, the keystone species, that umbrella species that the whole ecosystem is dependent on, and people want to protect the ecosystem for, was the African forest elephant living in the park. It was right on the border of Cameroon in Nigeria. One of the highest rainfall areas on Earth, about 6 meters of rain there, 18 feet a year. We would go out for 2 or 3 weeks at a time and live in the wild, trying to see the elephant distribution and movements throughout the year. The big question was, is the park large enough to assure the survival of the elephant population? Out cutting transects right through the rainforest, very intriguing work for biologists. Lots of hazards, things like green mamba, black mamba, not to mention the little ones, which are much more deadly: malaria, typhoid, Lola, many tropical diseases, different types of bacterial ringworm. Ever hear that? You live out in the rainforest and never get dry. You get these bacteria.